Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator Blackburn, do we have you?
You've got me, and I am delighted to join you, Morgan, and thank you for the great work that you've been doing on the issue of Israel and helping people to be aware of what is actually happening on the ground and in the region, and all the connections between what I call the new axis of evil, which is Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea.
So thank you so much, Senator. You have just been such a clear and a clarion voice for the state of Israel, for the Jewish people. You know, a lot of people don't know it, but we actually have very old Jewish communities in Tennessee. In Nashville, the temple that I go to is over 100 years old. We have a very big Jewish population in Memphis. And a couple years ago, people don't know this, when there was some anti-Semitic things said in the state by an elected senator, you spoke out against it very clearly. And so I just, it means a lot to me. You have been such a clear voice whenever this issue comes up. But Senator Blackburn, tell me, what can the Congress do to support the state of Israel? I know I just had two representatives on. They were telling me about the vote for Mike Johnson today at noon. I know we still need a Speaker of the House, but what can the Congress do to sort of force the administration to support Israel?
Yes, and there are several things. First of all, the Senate passed a resolution last week in support of Israel. It is important globally that Congress be heard on this, and that needs to go to the House. They need to assemble themselves, elect a speaker, move forward. Then I have a resolution that would defund the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. This is something that has been there for about 70 years. President Trump defunded it, and we thank him for that, but President Biden came along and re-upped every dollar plus more. He's put about $1 billion into that agency. What we found out, they hire people that are affiliated with Hamas, and Hamas even uses their facilities in Gaza to store weapons and ammo for Hamas. So that could be done. You also have different pieces of legislation dealing with the funding for the military and for humanitarian aid for Israel. Now, Morgan, as you know, Israel has been a major purchaser of our military equipment. In addition to that, we provide them with funds every year, about $3 billion. Now, they've got a list of things that they need. Some would be a purchase. Some would be things we would give them. And as I say, if it shoots, sells, flies, or spies, and Israel needs it, we need to make certain they have it.
I love that.
They defend themselves, and they don't ask us to fight their wars. But they do need the things that are necessary to fight their wars. Now, Jackie Rosen and I have a resolution that would go after this anti-Semitism that is on college campuses and call that out. It is bipartisan. We are joined by James Langford and Chris Van Hollen as the leads on that resolution. We are trying to move that forward. Marco Rubio has one that would expel individuals that are visa holders from the U.S. if they have spoken out in support of Hamas or participated in any of these college rallies you've seen on college campuses. We also are trying to cut federal funding to these campuses. It is unseemly that you have professors on these college campuses that are out there trying to rally students in support of terrorism. This is unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
you know what?
they need to be held to account for this.
I could not agree with you more. There has been, listen, I was never for free college to begin with, just because I think if you want free college, you should join the military. That's how you get free college. But there is such an institutional rot in our universities, which we've known about for some time, but have been exposed. I was just looking at something as I was driving into the studio here in Nashville. I used to live during the Trump administration. I lived near the State Department, lived near GW University, and they had some GW University students that were putting on the buildings through I'm not sure how they did it through a light, but putting really anti-Semitic statements for everybody to see. You go through, you're hearing about these rallies, which are, the thing that bothers me, Senator, is when they talk about, oh, we're rallying for the Palestinians. No, you're not. You're supporting a terrorist organization. That, plain and simple. This terrorist organization burned whole families alive. So I just want to say, I do have one more question for you that I want to get to, but I appreciate your leadership, and I've got to say, our university system is rotten to the core. It's been exposed, and I just appreciate everything that you and your fellow senators are doing, whether it's taking federal funding away, taking away the visas for people that are here. You just shouldn't be able to support terrorism in the United States. It's disgusting. But one thing I do want our audience to know about you, Senator, and I, as a mom to a young daughter, and I know you have children and grandchildren here in Nashville, you have been a very big proponent of protecting children from social media. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. My daughter's almost 3, so she's not yet on social media, but something I worry about. And I'm hoping you can fix this before she gets old enough to want to be on social media. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yes, Senator Blumenthal and I have the Kids Online Safety Act, and it is supported by about half of the U.S. Senate. And we are thrilled in this day and time to have that many co-sponsors on a piece of legislation. Morgan, what it would do is put the burden on social media to establish a duty of care, to do safety by design, to give a toolbox that kids and parents can use to keep kids from being exposed to things that are really illegal in the physical world. When you talk about pornography, ads for alcohol, drugs, meeting pedophiles, meeting drug dealers, information on suicide, on eating disorders. And we met yesterday with a group of kids and parents. Some of the parents had lost their children online. A couple of the parents had kids that are now in recovery. We know that a third of all teenage girls have considered suicide.
But can we say that number again? A third? Did you say a third of teenage girls? My goodness.
Yes. A third.
My goodness.
The CDC report, Morgan, it was stunning to us. A third of our nation's teenage girls have considered suicide. Wow. Much of this is driven by what they're seeing on social media. They feel their life is inadequate. They feel they're not as good. They're not as beautiful. And they're looking at all of these photoshopped photographs. And then they're saying, I can't do this. And they give up, and it causes that despair. Social media platforms, this is an addictive product. They know it. They continue to try to hold our children. They make our children the product when they are online. As one of the mothers said yesterday, they put that profit in front of our children's well-being, and they continue to push it.
Is it as simple, Senator? I mean, should we just say, you can't smoke a cigarette until you're 18. Maybe you shouldn't be on social media until you're 18, or am I oversimplifying it?
It would be nice if there were a way to do an age verification. That is very difficult in the virtual space. Yeah. But what we have got to do is put that duty of care when they know there are videos that are pushing suicide.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much. As everybody knows, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. My Senator, Marsha Blackburn,